In 1347, a shadow fell across Europe, silent and merciless, claiming millions in its wake. The Black Death was no mere illness. It was a force that unraveled civilization, exposing humanity's darkest fears and failures. Beyond the fever and sores, greater terrors emerged, cures that poisoned, burials that trapped the living, and accusations that ignited slaughter. Chroniclers, like Giovanni Boccaccio, watched as society crumbled, noting not just the plague's toll, but the human errors that deepened its horror. This is the story of how panic turned healers into killers and neighbors into executioners. The Black Death's legacy lies not only in its death toll, but in the chaos it unleashed. In Florence, streets filled with corpses as fear outpaced reason, driving desperate acts that worsened the calamity. From toxic remedies to mass graves and scapegoating, the plague revealed humanity's fragility under pressure. This script explores these hidden horrors, showing how fear amplified a catastrophe into a mirror of our worst instincts. Let us uncover the grim truths of a world reshaped by dread. In plague-stricken Europe, the air reeked of incense, not for prayer, but for survival. Citizens clutched rosemary sprigs and burned juniper, hoping fragrant smoke could fend off the unseen enemy. Physicians, shrouded in robes and wielding canes to avoid contact, offered remedies rooted in ignorance. Without germ theory or antibiotics, medicine became a dangerous gamble. Boccaccio wrote of Florence's collapse, noting that physicians' random treatments often killed faster than the plague. Bloodletting, a cornerstone of humoral theory, aimed to balance bodily fluids, but drained the weak instead. Guy de Chauliac, a papal physician in Avignon, warned that it often led to the death of both patient and doctor. In Paris, the king's medical faculty endorsed purges in their Compendium de Epidemia, blaming the stars and worsening patients' fates. Archaeological finds in London's East Smithfield Cemetery reveal mercury and arsenic vials, evidence of toxic cures that hastened death. Charlatans exploited desperation, selling powdered pearls, crushed emeralds, and arsenic-laced potions in panicked markets. These remedies caused organ failure, killing faster than the plague. Venice cracked down, executing unlicensed cure sellers, acknowledging their deadly trade. The line between healer and executioner blurred as ignorance and greed turned hope into poison. The plague's true horror was how it made saviors complicit in its destruction. In October 1347, Messina, Sicily, became the plague's European foothold, where victims fell faster than graves could be dug. Corpses piled into shallow trenches, some still twitching with life. Chronicler Michael of Piazza noted that the living and dead blurred together, buried in haste amid overwhelming fear. The terror of contagion left no time to confirm death, leading to tragic errors. The unconscious were entombed, their faint breaths unnoticed. By 1348, this nightmare spread across Europe. In England, Monk John of Reading described graves filled with the dead and nearly dead, as no one dared check for life. In Paris, Friar Jean de Venette recounted gravediggers tossing the unresponsive into pits, their stillness mistaken for death. Marseille's 1348 law mandated burials within an hour of a priest's departure, forcing premature interments. Mass graves, like one in Lincolnshire, reveal the scale of these rushed disposals. The fear of waking underground was no myth, but a grim reality. Overcrowded pits offered no second chances. If a victim stirred, it was often too late. Rare, careful burials, like those at Cambridge's Augustinian Friary, contrasted the norm of chaotic trenches. The plague stripped death of dignity, turning burial into a potential act of murder. Silence became a death sentence in a world too afraid to listen. In February 1349, Strasbourg's Jewish cemetery became a site of horror, not reverence. Over 1,000 Jews, accused of poisoning wells to spread the plague, were burned alive on wooden platforms. Chronicler Jacob von Königshofen described the frenzied crowd, driven by baseless rumors to cleanse the city. Despite Jews dying from the plague too, fear demanded scapegoats, turning panic into murderous policy. This pogrom was one of many that tore Europe apart. In Basel, January 1349, the city council ordered the burning of hundreds of Jews, banning survivors for 2 centuries. In Bern, tortured confessions of plague powder in wells justified executions without evidence. Erfurt's synagogue was sealed and burned with worshippers inside, a chilling act of annihilation. Over 200 Jewish communities vanished, their deaths absolving debts for accusers. The plague's shadow fueled anti-Semitism, shredding societal trust. Rare voices like Aragon's King Pedro Afra demanded proof before harm, but such restraint was uncommon. Pogroms spread faster than infection, from Toulon to beyond, claiming thousands in fiery purges. This corruption of justice killed innocents and eroded faith in institutions. The Black Death's legacy lies in how it weaponized fear, turning neighbors into executioners and panic into a ritual of slaughter. The Black Death killed 30 to 50% of Europe's population, reshaping society in its aftermath. Labor shortages empowered survivors, with serfs demanding better wages and weakening feudal bonds. Women entered trades left vacant by men, challenging traditional roles. Medical practices began questioning humoral theory, laying groundwork for anatomical studies. Yet, these shifts came amid economic collapse and deserted trade routes. Art and religion reflected the plague's toll, with Dance of Death, motifs capturing mortality's grip. Failed prayers fueled flagellant movements and distrust in the church. Venice's quarantines pioneered public health, showing resilience amid ruin. Mass graves across Europe revealed the chaos, but also efforts to rebuild. The plague's ripples hastened the Renaissance, forging innovation from devastation. This upheaval exposed humanity's fragility, sparking revolts like England's 1381 uprising. Survivors gained opportunities, though unevenly as class structures shifted. The Black Death scars warn that crises can dismantle civilizations, but also spark renewal. Its legacy endures in how it forced humanity to confront its weaknesses and rebuild stronger. The Black Death was more than a disease. It was a crucible revealing humanity's darkest impulses. Poisonous cures, hasty burials, and fiery purges killed beyond the plague's reach, driven by fear and ignorance. Yet, from this abyss, societies rebuilt, questioning old dogmas and forging progress. Boccaccio's lament that no wisdom availed against the pestilence holds a timeless truth. Fear can make us our own worst enemy. As modern crises loom, let the 14th century's lessons guide us. Choose reason over panic, lest we repeat history's grim refrain.